Welcome to Amplify, the video series where we interview thought leaders about best practices, trends, and experiences in creating engaging campaigns. Today I'm speaking with Zoe Dunn, the president and CEO of Hale Advisors, a consultancy that provides digital marketing and communication strategies to life science companies. Zoe, we are excited to speak with you today. Welcome to Amplify.
Thank you so much, Ellen. I am so excited to speak with you as well. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, well, I'm thrilled to be here with you today, and I want to start off by asking, you have a background both in digital marketing strategy and the healthcare industry, which I find really interesting. Not a lot of people can say that they have both of those things. So, how did you end up on this exact career path?
It's a good story. So, I am the daughter of a pharmacist, which means I like drugs. You know, that's what I always say to everybody. But I grew up in the pharmacy world, behind a counter. Whenever my dad forgot his glasses, I would help count out all the pills for him, which I think is totally illegal now. But anyway, it was fine for, an 8-year-old to be doing that back in the day, in the 70s. So I went to college actually for theater. My major was theater in college, which was a completely useless major, but really, really wonderful and fun and an incredible experience. And I use it actually quite often in a lot of different things, like running a company. I was a directing major, and so hopefully it taught me some good skills at working with different people and really giving good guidance and trying to articulate my vision the way a director would. So anyway, I navigated that path, got out of school, moved to New York City, and worked for theater companies in New York City right out of college and film companies, and got really hungry. And so I ended up at a really small advertising agency doing direct response advertising, which in the old days, pre-internet, that was the 1-800 number that would come up across the bottom of the screen. That was direct response. So naturally, direct response was a really great precursor to the way that we do advertising in digital. It's actually quite similar in terms of that pull and push kind of engagement. And so as digital was kind of bubbling up, I had friends who were in digital advertising. They worked for crazy banner advertising folks, in the in the 90s. And I was fascinated by digital and the opportunities in digital and websites and digital advertising. And I found my way to a very small digital advertising agency that was actually making branded video games at the time that we would put into like cereal boxes. It was pretty wild. And we ended up getting an opportunity to work with Pfizer. Pfizer was doing a traveling exhibit called Brain, the World Inside Your Head. This was, again, in the 90s. And they were looking for an agency partner. And so someone walked in the office and said, "Who has experience in pharma?" And I said, "Well, my dad's a pharmacist." And they said, "It's your project." So that launched my career when I was in my early 20s in digital and pharmaceutical marketing.
Wow, that is a great story. I had no idea about your theater background, but
Yeah.
and you said it's a useless major, but absolutely not. As you mentioned, you can apply it so many
Yes.
places.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to mention public speaking. You know.
Right. It helps. It definitely helps with public speaking, and it really helps. As I mentioned, I feel like it really helps with big picture thinking because I was primarily a director, more a director. I liked acting, but I was really interested in how things got put together as a whole, which kind of relates to what you guys do, right, on the video side. That's why we love working with you all so much. But that storytelling really gelled really nicely, actually, even with the advertising world, right? You have to be able to tell a story in order to promote a product. So all of that, I guess it's less useless than you think. You just have to figure out how to apply it the right way to make some money, right?
Exactly, exactly. But I guess no skills we pick up along the way are useless in the end. In hindsight, it all makes sense. But what about now? Like, what about the healthcare industry? What is it that you find really interesting, or innovative right now that, what's going on in the healthcare industry that interests you at the moment?
So I really love working in healthcare, and especially in the pharmaceutical industry. I guess in my heart, I'm kind of a geek. I really love science. I love medicine. I am particularly fascinated by the technological advances in science and medicine, and actually how those connect back to the digital world, since I work in digital advertising and marketing. Um, and then, I have a father who I care for who's 93, soon to be 94. He'll be 94 in about a week and a half. And his family, his parents both died in their late 50s and early 60s from diseases that are quite manageable right now. So, that to me, that concept of the pharmaceutical industry at helping us to really live better, longer lives, is there's a pull in my heart to want to be involved with that, but it's really the technology that keeps drawing me in. And this side of the industry, so we have a very unique focus at Hale Advisors. We're not an agency; we're a boutique consultancy, and as a consultancy, again, kind of geeked out a little bit. The thing I'm really interested in is the regulatory side of things. So, the pharmaceutical industry, unlike most industries except maybe banking, is heavily, heavily regulated about the way that they need to communicate their products promotionally. And so we help the pharmaceutical companies to figure out how to engage in these digital marketing channels better, and still operate within the framework that they have to be compliant. So we kind of sit between the marketing teams at the pharmaceutical companies and what they call their promotional review teams, or the group of lawyers and regulatory people, medical people who approve all of the promotional materials that come to market before a consumer or a physician or anyone else ever sees them. And it's kind of a niche sweet spot that we have. We're really, really great at it. We really care about those details, and we care about the strategy too. So all of that is a long-winded answer to your question, which is I'm really keen on technology and healthcare, and it's really trying to help people get better health outcomes, really trying to help people live better, longer lives.
Yeah, that is a great answer. And I love how you've found a way to really make that personal for yourself in a way that all of us can relate to. And I think especially, as you were talking about your dad and, those of us that have parents who are aging and we're involved in their care, or even our own, I guess, health and
Right.
well-being.
Yeah.
It is so relevant. I don't think I ever thought about it when I was younger.
Yeah.
I was healthy and I just didn't really give it a lot of thought. But these days, it just seems to me personally a lot more relevant to
Yeah.
the day to day.
It is. I mean, it's quite incredible the conditions that the industry has made manageable long term, or just the enhanced quality of life that they can offer with their solutions. I was just reading about some new products that were coming to market. This was just like a news release that they had. I think it was in the New York Times this past weekend, about how they are developing these biologics that are very unique to each individual person. It has to do with cancer treatment, and cancer is a huge issue. The cure for cancer, that's what we're all looking for. But the other part of it that's really hard is that we are all unique in terms of our physical makeup. And while there's some excellent treatments for cancer, it's a very personal approach to how your body is going to respond to those treatments. And obviously, the companies that are making those treatments really want the best possible outcome for everyone on those treatments. So they were talking about in this article how there's a company that is really, I believe it was Moderna, I'm pretty sure it was Moderna, that's using the same technology that they've used to develop the vaccine for COVID, right? To personalize that treatment to each individual cancer patient's needs. So they're literally using those proteins from a particular person's cancer to put back into their body to prevent that cancer from reoccurring. Like, wow. Like that's, I mean, crazy, crazy, crazy. Now, if we could get people used to the idea that they're not embedding chips in your body, that it's actually like medicine, that's, there's no ulterior motive. It's actually medicine. Like it's science, you
Highly
know?
regulated medicine.
It's regulated
Yes.
science, you know.
Yes.
But it's really it's unlimited. I mean, think about that opportunity. Think about how many people will live longer with, again, you know, like that comparison of 60 years old and now 93 years old, right? He's outlived his parents by 30 years or more, and because of things that are very simple to control, like heart disease, that was unthinkable 30 years ago. They just couldn't get a handle on it the same way. So it's amazing, Ellen. It's a great industry to work in. I'm very bullish on it, but that's me.
I love what you were saying about the medicine these days being so personalized. And that makes sense that it's just going to get more and more like that as we move forward. So it kind of made me think about digital marketing because we're served ads in a very personalized way, very specific way. You can get so granular with that. And I'm wondering, this is like the era, I guess, of digital marketing. It's at the heyday, I think. What is it so in a pharmaceutical advertising and in life science advertising as well? And is there anything specific to your industry where digital marketing fits really well?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And it's, you know, this is something we spend a lot of time thinking about actually, is how we can make the digital platforms that much more valuable for the industry to be able to communicate. So the short answer for you is this: we are all patients. If you're not a patient right now, you will be a patient, unfortunately, you know, of something. So the opportunity for the pharmaceutical industry is to help you get to the information you need to make an informed decision about your condition or your loved one's condition in a really timely manner. And this is where there's such a great opportunity for digital. So the big buzz in the industry right now, I'm actually speaking at a conference in the middle of May about this, is around omni-channel, what they call omni-channel marketing. And omni-channel is just digital. It's digital and non-digital marketing in a much more personalized way, so that the user is getting served up the best, most relevant information to them where they are when they are looking for it. And that requires collecting a lot of data, which is a whole other issue. And trust me, privacy is like key in my mind, especially in terms of digital marketing. But the opportunity there to become that much more personal and relevant about something that's important to you. So I always use the example. I'm blessed that I don't suffer from any super serious medical conditions, at least ones that I can't manage, right? But the one that I always use as a great example that I've been suffering from since I was a young person is migraine. So I've had migraines forever. They're actually very managed now, but in the thick of it, in my 20s, 30s, 40s, when they were very intense and they were very frequent and they would last 3 days at a time, I was pretty desperate for a solution. And that is the kind of health patient that we are looking to try to reach out to. We are trying to figure out, when they're looking for information, how we can serve up the best information so that they can make a really good decision. And there's lots of pharmaceutical products out there. And, you know, advertising is advertising. Like, you can't be mad at advertising from pharmaceutical companies, because the truth is maybe you didn't know that there was a really great product out there, and it's only that advertising that's going to help bring it to light. You can't buy these products off the shelf. Like, you can't go and buy them like they're potato chips. So you have to become aware of what they are, and then you have to go to your physician anyway and ask about them. And it's really your physician's choice about whether they think a particular product is right for you or not. So, you know, everyone who's mad at pharmaceutical advertising, just embrace it for a moment and understand that there are some stopgaps in the way. But digital is a huge opportunity. And I'd love to see the industry really getting more personalized and relevant with how they communicate to consumers.
Yeah, absolutely. That just makes sense, and I'm sure that is probably where it's going. When it comes to digital marketing strategy, where do you see that people need the most guidance with that?
Another excellent question, Ellen. so, so there's a few things. I think so in our industry, anyway, in the pharmaceutical industry, you have marketers who work in the companies, and you have agencies who are supporting those marketers. They're coming up with the campaigns, they're creating the campaigns, putting them out there, developing all the creative content, and it's an interesting relationship. It's kind of like this necessary evil relationship between the two. The marketers at the companies have the best information about their products. And again, very scientific information and very regulated information. They are only allowed to communicate what is approved to communicate. And that's decided by the FDA. They have to submit a bunch of information to the FDA. The FDA has to say, okay, I see your research supports those claims that you're making, that information you're presenting, and then they're allowed to narrowly talk about just that. And then the agencies come up with these campaigns to communicate it. So where I think there's a bit of a disconnect is the marketers aren't always aware of the best use and application of these platforms. The agencies may be much better aware, but you really want some good education for the pharmaceutical marketers themselves, again, the people who are closest to the product that they are trying to market, so that they can make better decisions. They're not just letting their agencies tell them where to be. They can be proactive about it. They can say, we have this audience of, like, I always think about hemophilia. Hemophilia is a product with a very young target audience, a lot of young people who are suffering from hemophilia, who need to know about the latest advances in the medication for that disease. And so young people, where are young people? Well, they're in digital. And where are they in digital? Well, they're probably, unfortunately, on TikTok, or Insta. And so the thing is that I'd really like to see marketers think strategically about where they want to be so that they can create the very best content to be present in those channels in a way that is going to be engaging, and not just shoving a bunch of information in a way that people are not going to absorb, but really, understanding who is there and why they're there, and packaging that information the best that they can. And that's where, that's the kind of work that we do, is to really help them on so now that you've decided what you're going to say and where you're going to say it, how are you going to make sure that you're following the rules when you're communicating it, right? Because there are a lot of rules. We're very limited on space in digital channels. It's very hard to communicate all the important things that we need to communicate regulatory wise within, certainly like on an Apple Watch. Can't do it, right? But even on your phone, or even in a tweet, or in a Facebook post, or these are things, these are considerations. We still want to be able to engage on those platforms, but also be compliant with what we need to communicate and the way we need to do it.
Right. Wow. That is a lot to juggle, but that's why your business exists, I guess. What about video? Is video an important part of a good marketing strategy? And if so, why?
So video is probably the most important thing right now. And we know this because, I'll go back to my hemophilia example. Reaching kids on TikTok, it's got to be through video. There's really no other way. But even if you're not talking about a young audience, I could even take an older, more mature audience. So let's go back to my dad at the other end of the extreme, right? He's 93, 94 years old. He's not super savvy. Pretty savvy for a 93, 94-year-old. I'll give him that. But he watches a lot of video. That's the thing that connects him and the devices that he's on, usually like an iPad, or, sometimes looking at my phone. And the video, what it does is it communicates in a much more concise package the concept that you're trying to get across. It explains itself well. It tells that story, and it also engages. So I think it's one of the most critical tools that we have at our disposal. I'm not saying that, text is not important. I'm not saying that imagery is not important. These things are all important. But video has become, the quickest path to communicating your message most effectively. And what I love about video is you don't need a lot of it. So, in the old days, we'd have clients who wanted to make like and they still do, and it drives me insane. They want to make like hour-long videos, and I'm like, who the heck is going to watch a video for an hour? I can barely make it through Succession, in an hour. Like that's like my patience is done. At the end of that episode, I'm already like Googling something on my phone. It can't even keep me engaged, and that's pretty engaging. So what we're talking about is, very short form pieces that are going to beginning, middle, and end tell you the point that they're trying to communicate, and can be used in so many different platforms because they're such little tiny files, and they're easy to consume anywhere. You can consume them on your phone, on your desktop. You can, put them up on your Roku. You can even see them on your Apple Watch. I can watch little video clips on my Apple Watch. So it's, the idea is that it's making that really accessible content, and communicating that message. And so I think it's great. The other thing, if I might say, about video that has really been a game changer, I know for your company and for the way that my marketers can take advantage of it, is the pandemic really forced us into remote video capture, and forced the remote video capture excellence to like go through the roof. So we're recording this remotely, right? I'm not with you in a sound studio like the old days where it cost a lot of money and you had to have a lot of people on the set. This is really quick and easy video capture. It's so much more affordable. So that means that people can make much more video. You can make lots of little pieces of video for the same cost that it used to cost us to make big videos, and no one would watch them anyway. So all of these things, and that's about digital too. That's about video and digital, and how things are evolving in a really nice way as well.
So Zoe, thinking about a couple of campaigns that you would consider successful, maybe you've been involved with these campaigns, maybe you've just seen them. Thinking, about these, are there any trends that you're seeing specifically in marketing with life sciences?
So I just saw a really wonderful campaign. It won several awards at the MM&M Medical Marketing and Media Awards last year, and it was a really funny campaign. Now I can't remember the name of it. Like, shame on me. But it was a campaign where they were making fun of. It was video. They were making fun of the entire. Fair balance that we need to provide as pharmaceutical marketers, which means anytime you are communicating a promotional product, you must also communicate the benefits as well as the risks of that product. That is the requirement. That's why I have a job. That's why, the industry is regulated. And that's an old rule. That's a rule that came back from the snake oil salesman telling you, yeah, take this product. It's really great. It'll solve everything. It'll make your hair grow, make your skin better, make your, head lighter, make you hungrier. They would tell you everything, like everything will benefit you from this product, but no drawbacks, And the truth is that pharmaceutical products could potentially have adverse events on some people some of the time, and we have to communicate the risks of taking that product. It's important that you are an informed customer and consumer. So what this video series did is they read that crazy long fair balance. When you watch a TV commercial and they tell you about the product and then they say, this product may make your head pop off and may make your leg turn blue and may make your, eyes go crosswise. That is the requirement. That's the important safety information that we need to present about our product that is informing you, the customer. And so this campaign really made light of it. They had this crazy guy in there. I mean, they weren't making light of the information. What they were doing is they were recognizing, they were empathic. They were recognizing that the ordinary person does not understand why that is happening. Why are you telling me this product's going to make my leg fall off? We have to. We are required to inform you. And it was a great campaign. Now, what is the meaning behind that kind of campaign? The meaning is empathy. The meaning is empathy. And what I have seen over the decades that I've been working in pharmaceutical marketing that has made the most impact on me and the most impact on our industry has been the campaigns that approach communicating with empathy. They understand that you, as the patient, have very specific feelings. They've done their homework. They know how you feel about them or about the industry or about commercials in general. And they are tapping into that and getting on your level. So, more and more of that. It's tough to do. It's harder in our industry than any other industry because of how regulated we are. But there are so many good opportunities to do it, to really humanize the message and the way that we're communicating. And so those are the trends, that together with that personalization that I was talking about, that omni-channel approach, those are the trends that I have seen are really hopefully continuing to grow in our industry as we really reach out and make sure that people understand the benefits and risks of our products.
I love it. And it makes a lot of sense that they will continue to grow. So that's, yeah, thank you for sharing that. What do you think, like thinking big picture, why would you say it's important for companies to seek outside expertise when developing a digital marketing strategy?
Oh, I have so many thoughts on that. So I can mainly speak about my industry, about the pharmaceutical industry, but so many marketers in the pharmaceutical industry, this may not be completely true as much nowadays, but the traditional pathway for a pharmaceutical marketer, someone who was a brand marketer who's representing the brand, was that they would start in the sales force. They would start as a rep. They would literally carry a bag into a physician's office and say, "Hey, doc, I've got these samples. Can I put them in your sample closet? And here's some research on our products. And please prescribe this to your patients and try it out," right? That's how they started. In fact, most marketers of certain age started as reps. There are probably some newer marketers who started with a different pathway, like they went to business school or they learned marketing or, and they ended up here. But when you think about it, by and large, that means that the marketers in pharmaceutical companies are really salespeople. They're not marketers, right? And they're concerned with one thing and one thing only. They've got a budget. They've got to meet that budget. If what worked last year worked really well, they're going to do the same thing as last year. Are they going to go outside of the box? No, because we don't know if that works. What worked last year works. So it's really, 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 really important to get some outside perspective. Because otherwise it becomes this echo chamber of what you know. And what you don't know is this entire world, especially in digital marketing, which is changing every single day. In fact, more than every single day, we work with companies who have like a standing call with Meta every other week because their platform is changing so frequently in terms of how they're approaching the platform and how it's impacting us from a regulatory perspective. So it's really, really, really important that pharmaceutical marketers get some good outside perspective from their agency partners or consulting partners or folks like you who really, really, really understand video. And I know, again, in our industry, many of these large pharmaceutical companies have their own internal video capabilities. But again, it becomes an echo chamber. They're not seeing what's going on outside of the company or even outside of the industry, right? They're really just focused on that company. So having this broad perspective really will bring fresh creative thinking. It'll bring better strategic use of the platforms. It'll bring, kind of an enthusiasm and an excitement to the content that they're trying to present. So I think all the way around, it's really great if you can work with an outside partner.
Hale Advisors is a WeBank certified women owned business. So WeBank stands for Women Business Enterprise National Council. It's the national certifying organization for businesses that are owned by women. And you, of course, are at the helm of your company. So, what do you see as the unique impact women and other underrepresented groups can have when they take leadership roles in a field like yours that's typically dominated by another group?
So women business owners are definitely a special breed. We have a lot on our plate, sometimes different than our male counterparts. You know, running the business, but also picking up the kids and making dinner and keeping everything together. I was just talking to somebody the other day a gentleman who told me that he's always really loved working for women business owners, and the reason that he said, and women leaders, the reason that he said is there's an incredible natural empathy that the women that he's worked for have in terms of the way that they engage with their teams. And there's a humbleness and a sense of self that they've brought to the table that is different than what he's seen in men that he's worked for. WeBank, being a part of WeBank is really, really special to me. I think it's an incredible community, and I've taken advantage of lots and lots of the things that they've offered. They have an amazing event every year that they do, but they also have really wonderful programs throughout the year. I did one in the fall, which was a leadership program. I'm actually doing another one this spring, which is sponsored by Wells Fargo, which is like a 3-day course really focused on EOS and growing your business. And they have done an enormous amount of support to support me and others. And I really feel like, we lift each other up in a way that is also quite typical for women to do for each other. We lift each other up. We help each other figure out our problems together. We are non-competitive in that way. We are purely supportive. And we all really see winning as winning together. And that's been my experience anyway at working with other, partnering with other companies like yourselves and others in WeBank. I think when we come together as WeBank companies, that I know working with the procurement teams at the pharmaceutical companies that we work with, we are considered quite special. You know, they love to check that box and say that we're a women-owned small business, and that should hopefully give us an advantage. But more importantly, I think it forces them to acknowledge that they, as large companies, do have to make a commitment to working with diverse companies, and that they kind of have to set aside some opportunities for us to prove ourselves, as we always do really, really, really well. And there's a great opportunity for us to come together in terms of that support. I'm often recommending other WeBank companies to my clients when they're looking for something that we don't offer. And the same is true of, many of my cohort as well in WeBank and also in 10KSB.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And when we find communities like that, it is so, it's just such a win-win to find other companies and find other ways to bring them in on projects.
It really
And,
is.
just kind of share in the creativity and the creation of whatever it is that we're doing.
Yeah.
So it has been amazing talking with you. I just want to ask you if there's anything else that you want to share that we didn't get to talk about.
No, I feel like we kind of covered a lot. I'm always
Yeah.
happy to talk again. So if you ever want to do a part 2, let me know. But this was super fun.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. You've given us a lot to think about and ponder and share on our Amplify podcast. So thank you. Zoe Dunn, is a true pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, love spending time with you. And we certainly may take you up on that offer to have you back one day.
Anytime.
So thank you, Zoe. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Ciao.